All right, so hello, y'all. On behalf of Orientation and New Student Programs, welcome to our Wednesday webinar series. Wednesday webinars are designed to help prepare you for your arrival to UVA. Each week from now, well, really each week from May until your move-in, tune in to these Wednesday webinars. We have a different office each week, so you can really get a good insight on some resources across grounds. So I have a couple of general reminders before we jump into our session for today. So many deadlines are coming up in your new student portal. So make sure you're staying up on your tasks so that you're ready to roll for this fall. You can access the new student portal from our website, orientation.virginia.edu. Also, make sure that you're checking your UVA email regularly. We communicate, and a lot of different offices across the university communicate a lot with students directly to your UVA email. So it's important that students are keeping an eye on that inbox for important messages from the university offices. You really just got to take ownership over your college experience and check those emails. That said, our office is happy to hear from y'all, students and parents. If you guys have questions, you can email us at orientation@virginia.edu, and we'll help guide you towards the answers you're looking for. If we don't know the answer, we can send you in the direction of somebody who will. So just a couple more things. This webinar is recorded, and so if you missed something or you want to come back and relive this wonderful moment, or you need to find some information, the recording of this webinar will live on our website, again, orientation.virginia.edu. It'll be posted in the next week, and it'll be there for the remainder of the summer. And without further ado, I'm happy to introduce y'all to Sabrina Whitcomb from Student Financial Services. Tonight, we will not be taking questions in a Q&A, but if you do have any questions, we invite you to send them directly to Student Financial Services at sfs@virginia.edu. So that's like SFS, like Student Financial Services at virginia.edu. Yeah, so without further ado, go ahead and take it on away, Sabrina.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So glad that you're here with me tonight. As Matt said, I'm Sabrina. I work in Student Financial Services, and I'm going to be your tour guide today. I'm sure you've all had a long day. You're probably ready to get some dinner, maybe spend some time with your family. So I'm committed to getting through this presentation in the next 30 minutes or so. The information that I'm presenting to you is very broad. It's an overview, but our website has a lot of really helpful information. Things like step-by-step instructions and outlines and processes. So if you do have questions, I would recommend our website as a first resource. But of course, as Matt said, you're always welcome to contact us by email or by phone. This presentation is available, at least the PowerPoint is available on our website. If you go to our homepage, sfs.virginia.edu, and just search for presentations in the search bar, it will take you to a page with a list of presentations, including this one. So my daughter got her learner's permit earlier this year, and I was determined not to be that parent. You know, that parent that's excitable and nervous and panicky. I didn't want to be that parent. So we're in the car, she's driving, I'm in the passenger seat, and inside I am dying. I am that parent. I am nervous. I'm anxious, I'm tense, I'm sweating a little bit, but outwardly, I am cool, I'm calm, I'm just relaxed, along for the ride. And then my daughter looks over at me and she says, "Mommy, why are you clutching the door handle?" My goal tonight is to give you some tips and some tools to help you and your student be successful on your financial journey over the next 4 years. I also have another goal, which is this. If you ever find yourself clutching that door handle, feeling nervous, feeling a little tense, or worried, whether that's today or 3 years down the road, Know that we are your partners on this journey. We're here to help you, and we want to help you. Some of you may already be familiar with the work of our office. Maybe you've had a student here before, or maybe you applied for financial aid and worked with us back in the spring. But I do want to give a quick overview. And one of the primary functions of our office is to award need-based financial aid. So need-based financial aid can be federal aid, like federal Pell Grants or federal direct loans. It can be state aid, like the Virginia Guaranteed Assistance Program funds, or it can be institutional aid, like Access UVA scholarships, Success UVA scholarships, Cornerstone grants, or Blue Ridge scholarships. The other major function of our office is to charge for tuition and fees and to collect payments for those charges. But we also collect payments for referred charges. So things like housing, dining, library fees, parking fees, bookstore charges. We process outside scholarships. So those are all of those awards that your students are bringing in from outside the university. And for 2022-2023, we processed over 3,700 outside scholarship checks, most of which come in August. So you keep us really busy during August. And we also process loans. So those are things like the Parent Plus loan or private student education loans. So today, the information I'm going to cover are what we're calling the top 5 money matters. So these are topics that we think are important and helpful for you to know, again, on your financial journey. They're also topics that we receive a lot of questions about, so we want to address them here. Or they might be topics that can create problems or issues for you or your student. So we're going to start with the billing cycle. And for those of you who don't know, we do bill on a per semester basis. So we will bill fall term charges in mid-July, and we collect payment for those charges in mid-August. And then we do the same thing in the spring. So spring term charges are posted in mid-December, and we collect payments for spring term charges in mid-January. Fall term statements are actually available now in UVA Pay. So if you have access to UVA Pay as an authorized user, and we'll talk about that and how to become one in just a minute, you can log into UVA Pay and actually see all of the charges out there for the fall term. Now, I don't know if anyone out there is aware of the due date for the fall term, but if you're not, for this year, the due date for fall term charges is August 16th. Which is 36 days from today. So we're getting close. As you'll see on this presentation, the term statements are electronic only. So we aren't going to print and mail a term statement to your home. So it is only available electronically in UVA Pay. And what you'll see in UVA Pay are charges for tuition and fees. And since your student is a first-year student, you'll also see charges for dining and for housing. And of course, in the future, if your student chooses not to live on grounds or chooses not to have a meal plan, you wouldn't see those charges on your term statement, but you will, of course, always see tuition and fees. So I talked a little bit about UVA Pay, and I want to give you a quick introduction about UVA Pay, and I'm going to do that with this short video.
Student financial account information is available online through UVA Pay. Students will be able to access their UVA Pay account through their Assist dashboard, and from there can set up authorized users. As an authorized user, you'll have your own access to view their account and make payments. And it will also give SFS the needed authorization to talk with you about their account. The UVA Pay homepage will provide you with an account summary, including the balance due on your student's account. From there, you'll be able to see whether your student has a financial hold on their account for past due balances, as well as utilize quick links like viewing the 1098-T form, reviewing our withdrawal policy, learning more about tuition and fees, and reviewing any scheduled payments. You can view detailed account activity by clicking on the Account Activity tab and navigating to the term you wish to see. Click the arrow to see every transaction on the student account from that term, including charges, credits, and any anticipated credits. You can even print a term statement from this page. The Payment Plans tab will display any active payment plan offers available to you. Enrollment in a plan is optional each semester. When you're ready to make a payment, click on the Make a Payment button and indicate the amount you'd like to pay and the date you'd like the payment to be made. You can schedule payments up to 30 days in advance. You'll then be prompted to add a new payment method, which you can save in your account for future use. Remember that only students and authorized users can access UVA Pay, so talk with your student about getting set up as an authorized user today.
As you saw, there is a lot of functionality in UVA Pay. And then there were some terms that were used that we're going to cover later. I will cover later on in this presentation. But I do want to spend just a minute looking at the account activity page, because this is probably where you'll spend some time when you're looking at charges. As they said in the video, all of the activity on your student account is available under the account activity tab, and it's separated by term. So as you can see in this screenshot, all of the charges are there as a positive number, and any type of payment or credit is listed as a negative number. We sometimes have students who are confused about the negative number because they see that as sort of a bad thing, but in this case, it's a good thing. So charges are listed up there. Financial aid is listed. Payments would be listed up there. You can see the date that all of that activity was posted, as well as the due date. So I talked about the due date for the fall term being August 16th, and that of course are for charges that were posted in July. And of course, if there are any new charges that are posted after that date, the due date would be reflected here in UVA Pay. In order to get access to UVA Pay, you do need to be set up as an authorized user, and only your student can set up authorized users. And these are just some of the benefits of being an authorized user. And I do want to talk about two in particular. The first is the first one, receiving email notifications. So I don't know how your conversations about email go with your student, but my conversations with my daughter tend to go in one of two ways. The first goes something like this. Hey kiddo, did you get that email I forwarded to you a few weeks ago about, your school assignment? And she says, let me go check my email. Right, so that's the first way. The second way goes something like this. Hey kiddo, remember that campus visit I set up a few months ago? Well, it's what's coming up. It's next week. I haven't heard anything from the school, like what time to show up, where to go, where to park. Have you heard anything? And she says, oh yeah, I got an email months ago. In both of those situations, I'm completely dependent upon my daughter to send me the information that would be important to me. Well, first she's got to check her email, right? And then know to forward that information to me. Well, when you're an authorized user, you don't have to worry about it because you're going to receive all of those email notifications that they're receiving. So when term statements are available, you would get notified when there are new charges on the account and when there are past due charges. And new charges, by the way, if we can just be honest here, any new charges in December probably aren't textbooks from the at least bookstore charges. So as an authorized user, you get that email notification. So you will have insight into what's happening, at least on the financial side. The other benefit that I want to spend a minute talking about is the last one, permission to have free and open conversations with SFS. You may have contacted our office earlier this spring, either by email, coming to Days on the Lawn, or calling us and had long conversations about your student's financial aid application, or about their financial aid offer. And we were able to do that because they were technically not a university student, but now they are. And because they are a university student, their education record, which includes financial aid and student account information, is protected by the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA. And FERPA requires a student to give consent to have their education records shared with anyone. When a student is setting you up as an authorized user, they're giving consent for us to have those conversations with you. So if you have questions about charges, why is the charge this amount? Where did this charge come from? What's the status of my payment? Where's my scholarship check? All of those kinds of questions we would be able to answer if you're set up as an authorized user. The next section that I'm going to talk about is payment options. And I'm not going to cover every single payment option that's available. I'm going to cover the ones that are the most popular or the most commonly used. And we're going to start with checks. So you have two options for paying by check. One is electronic, and of course, the method that we would recommend. You make electronic payments in UVA Pay, as you saw in the video. It's basically an electronic transfer of funds from your checking or savings account to your student's university account. Of course, you are still welcome to send a paper check. If you do send a paper check, we strongly encourage you to include your student's ID on the memo line to make sure that we're applying that payment to the correct student. And of course, if you're mailing the check, you do want to keep in mind the time it's going to take for it to be delivered. You have the option of paying your charges by credit card. And again, you make these payments in UVA Pay. We accept all major credit cards. So that includes Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. I do want to point out, however, that there is a service fee with paying by credit card. So there's no fee to use an electronic funds transfer or an electronic check, but to use credit card, you would have to pay this 2.75% service fee. Now, if you don't want to make the payment in full in August and in January, you have the option of enrolling in our semester payment plan. And this allows you to spread your payments out over a series of months. There is a fee of $45 per term to enroll in the payment plan. So $45 for fall, $45 for spring. But the great thing is that it's interest-free. The balance that is waiting to be paid, there is no interest being incurred on that. Now, the longest payment plan we have is a 5-month payment plan. But for the fall term, the payments for the 5-month plan begin in June. And so for fall, if you haven't already enrolled in the payment plan and you're thinking about it, the only one that would be available to you at this point would be the 3-month plan, right? Because the fall term would have started in June, 4 months would have been July, and now we're in the 3-month plan. But you can still enroll in the 5-month plan for the spring term, and those payments will begin in November. And so it'll be November, December, January, February, March would be the 5 months that you'd be making those payments. And of course, you would enroll in a payment plan in UVA Pay. If you have a 529 savings plan, the first step to using your savings plan is to contact your plan administrator. And you would request a withdrawal or a distribution from your savings plan. And most savings plan will give you the option of sending the money directly to us or having the money sent to you. We sometimes get parents who ask questions like, is there a tax advantage to having the money sent directly to the school versus to me? And unfortunately, we don't really know the answer to that question. We encourage you to consult your tax advisor because there's probably a lot going on in your financial situation that we don't know about, and we certainly don't want to advise you incorrectly. And so if you were to ask us that question, we would probably just say, go talk to your tax advisor. Now, once 529 sends the money, we will apply that credit to the student's account. You can check UVA Pay to see the credit. So if you're wondering, did they get my 529 payment because I had it sent directly to the school, you can check UVA Pay to see if we've received it and been applied. And of course, if you are mailing the money if you're getting it sent to you and then mailing that money to us, just take into consideration the time for it to be delivered. If you have a prepaid plan, this also starts with you contacting your plan administrator. So you would tell the plan administrator that your student is attending UVA. The plan administrator adds your student to a roster that they send to us. And when we get that roster and process it, we apply what we call an estimated credit to the student account. This estimated credit is basically a placeholder until the actual funds are sent to our office. And the estimated credit basically covers the charges that the actual credit will eventually pay. So you don't have to pay that up front while we're waiting for the money to be sent to us. Now, rosters are sent about once a week around this time of the year, but they will be sent more frequently as we approach August. And we do process those rosters as soon as we get them. We know how important it is for you to see those credits, estimated credits, or even the payments from your 529 savings account on your student account. So if you were to contact your 529 plan on Monday and you didn't see that out there until the following Monday, that's perfectly reasonable. But again, as we get closer to the start of the term, those rosters will come more frequently. Now, all families and students with these 529 prepaid plans or 529 savings plans are reaching out to their plan administrators, just like you'll be doing. So be aware that they are also experiencing a super high volume of contacts. And so I would recommend starting now, thinking about reaching out and letting them know. The last payment option I want to talk about is the Parent Plus loan. So if you're not able to pay out of pocket and you don't have 529 plans and you want to utilize the Parent Plus loan that is available to you, we do recommend that the student accepts or declines any of the loans or work study that they were offered in their financial aid offer. You have the option of applying for a Plus loan for an entire academic year, or you can apply for each semester. So maybe one parent will apply for fall and a second parent will apply for spring. That's completely acceptable. There are two applications in the Parent Plus loan process. The first is the federal application. So this is completed at studentaid.gov. It's your application and promissory note. And then the second application is a UVA application. This application is available on our website, and we need both applications on file in order to certify or process the loan. But once we do that, once we certify the loan, you will see that estimated credit in UVA pay for the amount of the loan. And again, that estimated credit will offset the charges, and you would not be expected to cover those. Now, when the money does actually disperse, it's dispersed to the UVA student account. So it will first apply to any outstanding charges. So I talked a little bit about estimated credits, and we have a term that's very similar called anticipated credits. And you might see these in UVA pay if you are receiving any of these three examples of anticipated credits. So if your student is receiving an outside scholarship, you can report that to our office using our outside scholarship self-reporting form. It's available on our website. You attach the documentation from the scholarship organization. And once we process that form, we will post an anticipated credit on your student's account, which again offsets the charges. If you're getting military education benefits, this works very similar. The process does start with the registrar's office, where you need to submit your certificate of eligibility and a form that they have. But once we're aware that you're getting military education benefits, we can post an anticipated credit on the student account while we wait for the Veterans Administration or the military organization to send the funds to us. And if you're receiving financial aid, you will see anticipated credits for any aid that is in an accepted status in your SIS account. So grants and scholarships are always in an accepted status, but if you have loans that were offered to you, those will not appear as an anticipated credit until you accept them. It's assuming you want to borrow them. So any money that we are aware of that we know is coming but isn't here yet will often show up as an anticipated credit. Now, why is financial aid an anticipated credit? Well, financial aid is an anticipated credit because there's this federal regulation that says that we are not allowed to disperse the aid earlier than 10 days before the start of the term. But your charges are out there now, and you might want to know how much you owe after financial aid has been applied. And so it's out there as an anticipated credit so that you have a better sense of what's left if you have any balance left. Now, if you do borrow a loan, whether that's a PLUS loan or a direct subsidized or unsubsidized loan, you should be aware that there are origination fees on these loans. So we might have offered you a direct loan for $3,500, which would be $1,750 for fall, $1,750 for spring, but the actual amount that's credited against your charges will be less the origination fee. And if you were offered federal work study, I do want to mention that this does not actually credit the student account. So it's not going to pay any charges on the student account. Federal work study requires students to find jobs, apply for them, go through the interview process, be hired, and then actually work. And instead of getting any kind of credit on your student account, you actually just get paid through the payroll process. All right, the last topic is direct deposit. So I've just spent some time talking about all the ways that you can get money to us to pay your charges. And direct deposit is actually a way that we would return money back to you. And so what you're seeing on the screen are 3 examples of why we might be refunding money to you or your student. So the first would be excess financial aid. So if your student received a financial aid offer that exceeded their charges, any of that excess aid would be refunded to the student. So, especially when students are living off grounds after their first year, they may have received financial aid to help cover those costs, but they're not charges in the student account. So that would be an example of why there might be excess financial aid on the student account that should be refunded to the student. Maybe there's an overpayment. Maybe you made a payment and there was an adjustment to a charge later on, and now there's a credit on the student account. That's another reason we would issue a refund. And the last are school awards. So school awards are things like, there's a contest for poetry, right? Or there's an award for the best third-year engineering student. So these are awards issued by the academic school or an academic department. And so these are all reasons why we want to give money back to the student. Without direct deposit, we would issue these refunds as a paper check. And paper checks are mailed to the current address in SIS. So there are 2 address fields in SIS. One's the current mailing address, and the second is the permanent home address. And the current address is supposed to reflect where the student is living at that time. But students move around, right? They'll move out of the residence hall, they'll change apartments. And if they're not remembering to update the current mailing address, we might mail a paper refund check to a student and they might not get it because they're no longer at that address. And this happens a lot, especially when these school awards are occurring at the end of the academic year. And so we recommend direct deposit because it shortens the time frame from 7 to 10 days to get a refund to 3 to 5. And so you just get the money into your checking or savings account that you set up. Now, this direct deposit is different from the direct deposit you might set up as a student worker. So whether you are employed through the work study program or just as a student worker, you will have to set up direct deposit for payroll purposes. This is separate and different from that. And that speed of getting those refunds is certainly a benefit. Every year we spend so much time tracking down uncashed refund checks. So there are hundreds of students with hundreds of thousands of dollars of uncashed refund checks just floating around out there. And it's interesting to hear why students don't cash refund checks. Some of it could be because they've moved, so they never got the check. Sometimes it gets lost in a pile of papers. But my favorite reason are the students who say, well, I didn't know that it was a real check, or I didn't know it was a check, because students don't see paper checks, right? They're not that popular anymore. So we highly encourage you to set up direct deposit or have your students set up direct deposit. So I mentioned early on that one of my goals was to ensure that you knew that we were your partner in this process. And I want to reiterate it here. We know that things happen. We know that you forget deadlines, that you're late, that your circumstances can change. I really encourage you to reach out to us if you ever find yourself in that situation. And while I can sit here all night encouraging you to do that, I'd like to play this short video as another voice.
Hello, I'm Christine, the parent of 2 UVA alumni, one who received a Bachelor of Science from the School of Architecture and one who graduated from the College of Arts and Sciences with a double major in History and American Studies. Over their combined 6 years of studies at UVA, the staff of the Student Financial Services, or SFS, department were proactive in creating a robust, user-friendly website, as well as launching UVA Pay, the online payment portal. This portal is a lifesaver. If I can offer one piece of advice regarding your student's finances, it would be to have your student grant you access as an authorized user in their UVA Pay account. This allows SFS to have open conversation about your student's UVA finances. Without the authorization, you will not be notified about new or past due charges or be able to sign into the UVA Pay to make payments on the account. Once I was established as an authorized user in UVA Pay, I could review charges in both of my students' accounts, as well as set up payment plans for each child. The ability to schedule payments guaranteed that we didn't forget and miss payment deadlines and that their accounts stayed current. Additionally, I would suggest encouraging your student to look at the personal finance videos on the SFS website and help them see the value of understanding budgets and financial literacy. There are also peer financial counselors whose services your student should utilize. The peer financial counselors counsel students on developing smart spending habits or understanding student loans, and even help prepare students to enter the workforce. I know this is a time of transition in your lives that involves a significant financial commitment. When you are investing in a child or a loved one's future, it's important to recognize that the university cares about the overall health and well-being of each student. That includes financial health and literacy, in addition to a student's academic success. Know that the staff at UVA, and in particular, the Student Financial Services Department, works diligently to advise students and guardians about their monetary lives. Please avail yourself of their knowledge and resources. Take care and go Hoos.
I do have one request for all of you parents out there. If any of you would like to star in next year's parent video, please reach out to me. Our email address is on the screen right now. I'm always looking for parents who are willing to star in our videos. I really hope that this information tonight was helpful to you. I hope you're reassured that we're happy to help you. We're here to help you. And if you ever find yourself in a situation that makes you a little bit nervous when it comes to paying for college, we hope that you reach out to us. Yeah, and other than that, I hope you all have a really great night. And thank you so much for being here. Good night, everyone.